Hello, I'm Peter Singer. I'm a professor of philosophy and an author, and I want to talk to you about how you can change the world.
Bonjour Peter Singer.
Bonjour.
Vous êtes une star aux États-Unis, une star en Australie. Ici en France, on vous connaît un peu moins. Qui vous êtes?
I'm a philosopher who specializes in ethics. I'm probably best known for my book Animal Liberation, first published in 1975, but always in print since then. I chose the Animal Liberation because I myself had been completely ignorant of the way we treat animals. And I had not really even thought very much about how we ought to treat animals. Are we justified? Is it right for us to use animals as things?
Alors aujourd'hui, vous êtes en France parce que votre livre Théorie du tube de dentifrice est publié en français. C'est quoi la théorie du tube de dentifrice?
The book is about Henry Spira, who was an activist in the United States, perhaps a pioneer of working for animals. He put it this way, if you want to get change, it's like getting toothpaste out of a blocked tube. There are two things you have to think about. How bad is the blockage? Is it possible to remove the blockage? And how much pressure? How hard can you squeeze the bottom of the toothpaste tube?
C'était qui, Henri Spira? Vous pouvez nous expliquer, c'était quoi ses combats?
All his life, he was really on the side of the oppressed, the people at the bottom. And it was only when he was about 50 years old that he realized, he read something that I wrote, and he realized that actually animals are the most oppressed. And then for the remainder, the rest 20 years of his life, he devoted himself to trying to do something for animals.
Alors par exemple, quel combat il a mené?
One of his first campaigns was against Revlon, the cosmetics company, a huge corporation. Revlon tested its new products by putting them into the eyes of rabbits. Alive, and no anesthetic either. So fully conscious rabbits. They were actually held in a kind of wooden frame with only their head sticking out, so they couldn't scratch their eye with their paw or anything like that, and the eye was held open. And these chemical substances, some of which would really burn the eye, were just placed directly into the eye. So Henry wanted Revlon to stop this, but he knew that if he went to Revlon and said, you must stop these experiments, Revlon would say, but the government requires us to test our products on animals. So that would be a blockage in the toothpaste tube that no matter how much pressure you put on the tube, you would never get the toothpaste through that blockage. So instead he said, look, if you give 0.1% of your revenues to set up research to find ways of testing your products that do not use live animals, that use like cultures of cells in vitro, then I will stop campaigning against you. And then he did put some pressure on them by protesting outside their offices, getting a lot of media attention. It was enough pressure, because he had a realistic goal, it was enough pressure to get Revlon to say, okay, we don't like this campaign, it's bad for our image, call it off, we'll donate the money to this research. And they did that, and then Henry went to L'Oreal and Avon and Bristol Myers and all the other big cosmetic companies, and they all did the same. And eventually the research succeeded, and so now they don't do these tests on rabbits.
Est-ce qu'on peut faire une courte liste des principales victoires qu'il a gagnées avec cette méthode?
Well, the very first campaign he had was against experiments done on cats by the American Museum of Natural History. They were blinding the cats, and they were removing their sense of smell, and they were performing other kind of mutilations, and then they were seeing how that affected their sexual behavior. Henry was able to get the museum to stop doing that. And then he moved on to like the farming industry. He tackled McDonald's, for example. And again, he did not say to McDonald's, you should stop serving meat. That would not have been possible to succeed. But he did say there was a lot of cruelty in the slaughterhouses that you buy meat from. So we want you to have an independent inspection of all the slaughterhouses you buy meat from and set standards so that the animals are not so stressed and are not suffering so much before they die. His methods have now been continued by other organizations, so they have now agreed not to buy eggs from hens in cages. Although Henry died just 20 years ago, his methods are still achieving successes.
Alors, c'est un militantisme très stratégique. Il a des méthodes très précises pour arriver à ses objectifs. Comment on peut résumer ces méthodes de lutte?
So firstly, gather information. Make sure your information is accurate. Secondly, never exaggerate or distort your information. Your credibility is essential.
No fake news.
No fake news at all, that's right, yes. Next, don't demonize your opponents, right? And then the other point was to choose your target that you can succeed in. You have to make progress one step at a time. Don't lose sight of the goal. For Henry, the goal was to eliminate these animal industries that eventually, but...
Mais petit à petit.
That's right. One step at a time is the way to go there. Each step is an improvement for animals. Each step reduces the suffering of animals. And each step also educates people about the question of animals and makes people aware that the way they act and what they do is having an effect on animals.
Alors, la théorie du tube de dentifrice, elle a été inspirée et elle a fonctionné pour le droit des animaux, mais on peut l'appliquer à plein d'autres combats, en fait. C'est ça que vous expliquez.
Yes, exactly. I think that Henry's methods are applicable to activists on any area, whether it's the environment or peace or against sexism or racism, for example. I think that they are general tactics that everybody can learn from and can apply.
Alors je ne sais pas si vous suivez un peu l'actualité en France, mais en ce moment il y a une loi qui est passée à l'Assemblée sur l'agriculture, sur le bien-être animal, et il y a beaucoup de décisions qui ont été prises qui ont choqué pas mal de monde. Les députés par exemple ont refusé d'interdire le broyage des poussins mâles vivants, la castration des porcelets à vif, ils ont refusé aussi d'interdire le glyphosate. Il y a beaucoup de gens qui ont envie de baisser les bras face à ces décisions. Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez leur dire ?
Well, I mean, politics is very difficult, but I think the correct response to a political defeat like that is to try to make the French public aware that the government is refusing to forbid these things. And each consumer now has a choice. Will they buy these products? Will they buy products from an industry that is prepared to grind up the little chicks? Will they buy products from an industry that painfully castrates the pigs? You have to use this against the industries that lobbied to protect their cruel practices. And if you can make the industry see that it's very bad for them in terms of their public relations and their image, that more people are turning away from buying their products, then I think in the long run you can still succeed.